Alright. In this video, we are going to look at the recent changes that were introduced in 2025 April on the Indian medical visa invitation letter process. We have been getting a lot of questions from a lot of patients, so we just want to collate a lot of these questions and answer them so it's easy for everyone to go through them. So I'll also try to, so let's quickly go into what we're going to cover. So there's a lot of topics that I'm going to be speaking about, a lot of questions I'm going to go through. So it's going to be a very fast, quick video. So feel free to stop and play back if you need any questions and clarifications. Don't hesitate to add a comment on the video, or you can reach out on our website and you can contact us on WhatsApp as well. So what we're going to cover is what changed in 2025 April, what is the new process, how does the new visa letter look like, and what is the reference number that everyone's talking about and where to use it, how to check if the letter is a valid, a genuine letter. The common questions are being asked around attendants, children, newborn, and the difference between medical and Ayush visa in this context, and also the common information that's required to get or request a visa invitation letter from the hospital, from an Indian hospital. Okay, very quickly, what changed in 2025 April? On the 1st of April 2025, applications for Indian medical visa could no longer be used with a manually created visa invitation letter provided by the Indian hospital. So until then, the Indian hospital was giving an invitation letter, which had the hospital's logo, and it was signed, but from 1st of April that wasn't working. So the Indian hospitals must create a system-generated medical invitation letter in the FRO portal. FRO stands for Foreign Registration Office. They are the Indian Immigration Bureau, as simple as that is. So they look after the system where you can apply for Indian visas. Excuse me. And the system-generated invitation letter has a medical invitation letter number. So this number is important, without which you cannot complete an online visa application form. So if you do not have this system generated letter, as a result, if you don't have the medical invitation letter reference number, you cannot apply, as simple as that is. So that's a very quick summary of what was the change that happened on the 1st of April 2025. Now, what does the letter look like? So previously, like I said, the letter had the Indian hospitals letters would have their logo, the signature of who's issuing the letter. But the new format that the FRO portal requires or mandates is a system-generated invitation letter. So what that means is the Indian hospitals have to go into the FRO portal, key in the data, and hit a button, something which says generate, and a digital formatted letter is produced with the predefined format. And all the letters produced by all the Indian hospitals will now look the same format. So in addition to that, the hospitals may send their own signed letter with their branding and their logo and everything. Having said that, they will still have to use the same reference number, without which you can't apply for the visa. So how does it look like? How does the new visa invitation letter look like? This is it. So this is a visa invitation letter. It has actually, let's go through a bit of detail on to see how this looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a dummy sample letter. So this is how it looks like. At the top, it says invitation letter. It says medical Ayush visa. I'll talk about Ayush in a couple of minutes, but let's keep going. So the main important number that we need is the file reference number. The reference number, so this is a dummy number, and there's a barcode over here. So this number is critical, without which you can't apply for the Indian medical visa. So this is the letter that the hospital will provide. It has a section about the hospital details, which hospital is issuing the letter. Then the nodal officer details who is responsible for the invitation letter from the hospital side, and the details of the patient, the name, the passport number, date of birth, and so and so, the address in the home country from where the patient is traveling from, some reference contact details in India, including the hospital, the details of treatment, like in terms of which condition, what is the diagnosis of the patient, who the doctor and the specialty under the hospital who will treat the patient. And it also has some elements like duration of treatment in hospital, number of days, studies. The cost of treatment I haven't seen being used at the start for the time being, or the intended duration of stay in India, but duration of treatment in hospital is being used. Then we have the details of attendant. So if this is an example of one attendant, but if there are more attendants, there would be more similar sections involved. Having said that, if you notice that there is something called relationship with the patient, so this is important. We have to provide this detail to the hospital so that they can add this data into in the visa invitation letter. So this is how a visa invitation letter looks like. Like I said, this is a dummy letter, but if you look at the bottom, it says authorized signature digital, so there is no physical signature involved. That's the primary difference. So the short version is it's a standard format. It has a reference number, and this reference number is critical. So the Indian hospital has to give you an invitation letter with a reference number, which looks not necessarily looks like it, but this format would give you the reference number. Now, if we go back into the slide deck, so what we're going to do is going to go through a lot of questions very, very quickly. Like I said, feel free to stop and pause and go back to the video and play back the video, or you can feel free to comment or visit the site and hit us on a WhatsApp message, and we'll try to get back as fast as possible. So what is the reference number in the new visa invitation letter format? We have just seen it, okay, but here it is. This is what it is. Is the visa invitation letter reference number the same or different for attendant versus the patient? It is the same. Like we saw in the example, there's one letter which lists the patient details and the attendant details. If there are multiple attendants, they would be listed in the same letter. So that one single letter would have a reference number which can be used for the application process of both the patient and the attendant. Okay, then we have a few general questions around the visa invitation letter. Like the first one is, do I need a passport to request for a visa invitation letter from the Indian hospital? Answer is yes. But this is a very common question we get asked. A lot of the patients, they are in the process of applying for their passport or renewing their passport, and they're asking, can we get a visa letter while the passport process is progressing? And we'll have to say, we can't, because we need to type in the passport number into the invitation letter. So we will have to wait till the passport is ready. And how long does the passport need to be valid? The short answer is 6 months, but keep in mind, almost every country at this stage, when you enter the country, you need to have a minimum validity of 6 months for you, so that gives you enough time to exit the country. Having said that, if you're requesting for an invitation letter, I would at least recommend 7 to 8 months from now, because you have to request for a visa, you get visa invitation letter, you get the letter, and then you have to apply for a visa, and you get the visa, and then you have to decide on your travel dates. So that this might take maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or so. So it's good to have around 7 to 8 months when you're requesting for the visa invitation letter. Having said that, as a minimum, you need to have 6 months before you, at the time of entry into the country. Now, how much does it cost to get a visa invitation letter from the Indian hospital? Most of the cases, the hospital provides the letter for free. There shouldn't be a charge. You shouldn't be charged for the visa letter. Having said that, please check with your hospital. Sometimes some Indian hospitals may charge, but it's entirely at the discretion of the hospital. Can I get a visa invitation letter from one hospital and get treatment in another hospital? This is a very, very commonly asked question. The answer is no. Please do not visit another hospital after getting visa letter from one hospital. We have seen a lot of patients who have reported issues with Indian immigration when leaving country after taking treatment from another hospital. At the same time, we have also observed a lot of patients reporting issues that the visa application was rejected because previously they used a visa from one hospital but took treatment in another hospital. So what I mean by they use a visa from one hospital, which is so what happens is, when you apply for an invitation letter, the hospital gives you an invitation letter using which you apply for the Indian visa. When your visa is granted, the visa would have wordings which say to an effect of the visa is a medical visa type 1 or attendant visa against this hospital name. So the visa would say the hospital name. So it's easy for the immigration to check when you have a visa on a specific hospital name, but if your reports are from a different hospital, then the story doesn't sync up. So there has been cases where the patients have reported that the visa applications were rejected because of the past. Now, we have also have seen patients reporting issues that if they took a visa letter from one Apollo but went to a different Apollo, for example, like let's say Apollo Delhi or Kolkata, and then visited Chennai, or Chennai they took the letter from Chennai and then visited Delhi or Kolkata. They're having the same issues. So even within the group, you can't. You need to be very clear on which hospital you want to go, and please request for the visa invitation letter only from that hospital, just to be just to stay away from any of the immigration issues. Sometimes what has happened is that we have observed that patients once, like for example, taken a letter from one hospital, and then they have started taking treatment in another hospital, and for whatever reason their visa has to be extended, and at that point in time the current hospital is not able to help because the immigration asks the patient, hang on, what is happening? You got a letter from a different hospital, why are you in this hospital? So there are some issues. There may be processes by contacting the FRO. There may be processes which can help you changing, or not necessarily changing, but navigating these issues. But it's probably best to stay away from this issue. So the simple rule is, after getting a visa invitation from one hospital, please ensure you go only to that hospital. So in other words, before you request for an invitation letter, please ensure you do your research and decide which hospital you would like to go, and only then request for a visa invitation letter. Now, is a medical visa required for a health checkup? So this is again a common question we get asked. So it is not necessarily required, but having said that, it's good to have. The key challenge is sometimes when patients do a health check and they find out something which requires immediate intervention, and they can't be admitted into the hospital because the patient may not necessarily have a medical visa at this stage. So that becomes a challenge. And so it's best to always go on a medical visa if you are even going for a medical health check. Now we have some questions around what Ayush versus medical visa. So Ayush stands for Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy. So this visa also caters for the therapeutic care and wellness throughout a traditional Indian medicine. So Ayush visa is a little different to the medical visa. So the people, sometimes the questions we get asked is, with a medical invitation letter, can we apply for an Ayush visa? So the short answer is no. You don't. Please don't select Ayush visa. Please select only medical visa when you apply for the visa. Now, I have a few questions specific to Apollo hospitals because it's probably in this context it's relevant. Because one of the questions we get asked is, if I get an invitation letter under, let's say, Apollo Delhi or Apollo Hyderabad, but the letter specifies a specific specialty or department, can I still see other doctors with other departments but within the same hospital? So that the answer is yes. And another question we get asked is, how long does it take to get a visa invitation from Apollo hospitals in India? It takes approximately 3 to 4 working days. Having said that, sometimes even faster if depending on the workload. Now, there are some questions specific to a physical visa application, not an e-visa application. So the question is, under which Indian mission do I have to collect the visa invitation letter under? So please always pick the Indian High Commission or the Assistant Indian High Commission in your state or region as per the guidelines. So please visit your local FRO website. It is important you pick that. And if you give a wrong Indian High Commission or Assistant High Commission to the hospital and they issue the letter, you can't use the letter. In the sense, if you use the letter and you apply for the visa, that High Commission or the mission will not accept your application. They'll ask you to go apply into the mission which is designated for your region, which is your state or something. So please ensure you always check which Indian High Commission you need before you request for an Indian visa invitation from the Indian hospital. Now, do I have to apply for a visa at the same address as the visa invitation letter? The answer is yes. Please, in your state or region, depending on your local FRO, your local Indian High Commission. So you need to check with depending on the country. Some countries have only one High Commission, one Indian High Commission. Some countries have a main Indian High Commission, then like sub offices, they are called Assistant High Commissions. So based on region, so it's important you understand what is applicable for your country. Now, in terms of attendance, the first question we get asked is, do I need an attendant for an invitation letter? It's always recommended. Keep in mind the role of the attendant is to help you when you are going through your medical treatment. Depending on the complexities of the treatment that's required, the attendant may play a lot of varied roles. It could simply range from helping you with stuff like lifting you from the bed, or sometimes even just giving you company to make sure you have the mental health looked after. So it's important to have an attendant when you're going, especially traveling to a different country. It makes a lot of sense to have someone travel with you. Does the attendant have to be blood related? Not necessarily, but it's highly recommended. What's the maximum number of attendants I can ask for a visa invitation letter? The short answer is three. But we still get asked if there are five attendants, how can I get a letter? It's highly unlikely. Having said that, you can always request a hospital, so the hospitals can advise you further. There may be exceptions, but which I am not sure. Having said that, it's always something that you can check with the hospital. I'm going to give you an example of a husband and wife. So there are two adults and three children in the family. So can they apply? In the sense, can they? So how do we handle this? So what happens is the children can be added as dependents. This is in addition to attendants. So dependents are in addition to attendants. So again, please check with the hospital which works and which doesn't work, and the hospital should be able to guide you. Now we get asked, I have a newborn baby. Do I need to mention? The short answer is yes. The newborn baby, if the newborn baby needs to travel, the newborn baby needs to have a passport. If the newborn baby has a passport, the newborn baby needs a visa to travel. And to get a visa, you need a visa invitation letter. What if I have a child? Yes, we already discussed. Children can be added as dependent. How old do you have to be to serve as an attendant? From an age perspective, 18, but the more important factor is the adult should be able to help you when you need. Should be mature enough to help you navigate the challenges you face when you're going through treatment in a different country. Now, we also have questions around some patients saying, I have relatives or friends in India. I don't want to bring them from the home country where I'm traveling from. At this stage, for the question, most of the short answer is this is the hospital's discretion. The hospital can decide they may or may not permit. Having said that, if they do, they will ask for the local nationals ID documents, such as the passport and Aadhaar card details and local contact details. Okay, so we are only two patients and we have one attendant. This is an interesting scenario, which is that let's say there are three people totally. Two of them are patients that need a medical visa, and the third person who is an attendant, who the plan is for that one person to look after both attendants. In this case, you need to understand that the person can be an attendant only for one patient. So the person's visa will actually state that this person is an attendant for patient X. I'm not sure about the exact words, but in effect, that would be the message in effect on the visa. So it is not practical for one person to be an attendant for two patients. So in this case, the second patient will have to find an attendant to go along with that person. Then there are questions in the new visa application. So visa invitation letter, one of the requirements that the hospital need is the contact details of someone in India or a place in India where they can contact. And the recommendation is to book a hotel if you don't have a known person or relative or friend. And having said that, keep in mind that this information is optional, so the hospital may give you some leeway in this. Having said that, this is at the hospital discretion, but keep in mind the Indian visa letter has a place which states your Indian reference address details and contact details. So the hospital must enter information, but it comes down to whether they will accept a hotel address or not. So please check with the hospital on what information is required in this case. But the easiest way is to book a hotel or have a hotel booking contact details. Now, there are questions around the treatment at home country. So provisional diagnosis, what should I enter? It is always the local doctor would most likely give you a prescription or a summary of what your clinical condition is. Please write that down and let the Indian hospital know that this is the condition. So that's a provisional diagnosis. So it could be a simple statement, but keep it as short and sweet as possible, because this is what the Indian hospital needs to enter in the visa invitation letter, the digital format. Is a reference letter from a home country doctor required? Now, it is highly recommended. The short answer is it's highly recommended. Having said that, For some countries, it is mandatory for the Indian visa to be issued. So it depends on the country from where you are applying from. So in most of the cases, this is not a mandatory requirement. Having said that, it is pretty good to have. But some countries, again depending on the country, it is a mandatory requirement that you provide a reference letter from the local doctor. So it is on a country on a case by cases. So this is something that the hospital can help you with when you're requesting for a visa invitation letter if this is required. This is a common question. We previously received treatment at a hospital in India. What do we do? What do we put in terms of the treatment in hometown? The recommendation is please see a local doctor in your hometown. Try to get a prescription, a document, a summary, or something which kind of helps you, which describes you what the situation is. So it's always because the Indian hospital need to type this information in the visa invitation letter, so it's always recommended to see a local doctor. Now, these could be quite straightforward. Having said that, these are some of the common questions asked after they get a visa invitation letter. What do I do? Yes, the logical step is apply for a visa. So there are you could apply for an e-visa or a physical visa. Having said that, you need to check on which only certain nationalities are permitted to apply for an e-visa, e-medical visa. So please check the FR website but I will create a video separately going into details of how do you apply for a visa, how do you apply for a visa online. Now, how do you find a letter if a letter is genuine? I will try to answer this in two. So actually, let's make it simple. Every letter is unique in the sense the reference number is unique. No two letters will have the same number. So if for you to check, the short version is you cannot complete a visa application if the number is not genuine, if the number is not valid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how exactly it works on when you try to apply for an Indian visa. So I am going to open up the browser. So I already have opened up a browser, and I'm going to have a number that I would like to enter and show you how it works. So here on this is the third step of the Indian visa application process. So in this step, there is a place which says Indian medical medical invitation letter number. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a number. You see, when I enter the number, these data are auto-populated. I can't change. So this is what would happen if the number has been generated from the FRO system. So this is the way you can probably validate if the letter is valid or not. If not, this wouldn't happen. So it will just say an error saying this number is not found in the system. So actually, let me try doing it. So let me try putting in a different number, or a random number. Let's see what happens. I'm going to refresh the browser. The number, I'm going to type in something. Let's see what happens. I click tab. Okay, data required. No record found corresponding to this medical invitation. So this is the error that you're going to see if that number is not valid. So you can't complete the application without the valid reference number. All right, and going back to the slide, how do you find? We just discussed this. I got a visa letter an hour back. It's not working. So keep in mind the system change happened only in April 2025. So I'm hoping there are some stabilizations issues at the moment. But I'm hoping they're going to be stabilized very soon. So the recommendation we have is please give it a try after a while. It should work. But if it still doesn't work, you can always contact the hospital. But keep in mind the hospitals are going to be asked a lot of these questions again and again, so they're going to be under the pump to answer all these questions. So keep in mind that there will be a bit of delay in terms of the letter to work, but I'm hoping this issue is going to be resolved very soon. I'm going to be observing it very closely. The next one is where to enter this reference number in the visa application. I just showed you that, so this is a screenshot of what the place is. and you have already seen how it works. So if you have, so the easiest way is to play back the video and see how it works when you enter the number. Now, then we have some questions around. Okay, what are the document and information required to get an Indian medical visa letter from Apollo Hospitals India? I'm specifically talking about Apollo Hospitals India, but I would imagine this is the same requirements for most of the hospitals. There might be some variations depending on from which country you are requesting from, or your nationality, or your nationality as per your passport. Having said that, this would cover majority of the requirements. So we will need the patient details, the passport copy, the name, the contact number of the person, the email address, and the current address. So this address, keep in mind the current address needs to match your official documentation. Sometimes it may be validated, and if there are attendants, you will need to provide the passport copy, the name, the current address, and the relationship of the attendant to the patient. Like I said previously, there's a maximum number of 3 attendants. Having said that, if there are variations, you can always check with the hospital. And then treatment in home country, in your hometown. Who was the doctor? What was his name? His or her name? The hospital's name, the provisional diagnosis, and the latest medical reports. So with the latest medical reports, it is recommended to provide the reports for not older than a year and a half. Anything beyond that, the Indian hospital will ask for newer medical reports, in which case you may need to go on repeat tests. So it's always better to get reports which are within a year and a half at the max. Now, going to the next information required, yes, you need to provide the nearest Indian High Commission. They need to mention this in the letter. The location and address, the hospital details, of course, which hospital you want the letter from, the specialty and doctor, if known. If not, the hospital most likely will decide based on your medical reports. And the other bit which is required is the intended arrival date. By when do you anticipate to reach the hospital, provided you get the visa? And the last part is the contact details in India, the contact number and the address in India. Again, like I said previously, this is optional, and this is one of the most common approaches I have seen people take is book a hotel. All right, and that's about it. That covers most of the topics and questions about the visa invitation letter. So I am going to create a separate video which talks about how do you request a visa invitation letter from Apollo Hospitals India. That is for another video. Like I said, I hope this video was useful. We covered most of the common topics. If there are additional questions we get, I will collate them and probably create a separate video with additional questions that we observe. Having said that, if at any point in time you have any questions, please comment on the video and I will respond, or you can contact on our website on our WhatsApp number, and we'll try our best to respond to you as quick as possible. Meanwhile, take care, have fun, stay safe, stay blessed.